morning, everyone. Let's try this again. Good morning, everyone. Court's going to start a little differently today with Judge Snyder being on vacation this week. Pursuant to KRS 67.040, we must first select a member of the Fiscal Court to preside over this proceeding. So can I get a motion from one of the magistrates?
Motion to appoint Butch Putman.
Okay. Got
Second.
a motion from Charlie McCollum.
Second.
I have a second from Tim Southern. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, Mr. Putman.
Wouldn't sit any good if I said nay. You lost. Yeah. Well, thank everyone. Thank you guys for the honor of presiding today. And as always, we start each court meeting with our invocation. Today we have Father Larry McBride from Holy Name Church. Father, if you would come up, please stand.
And let us pray. Our good and gracious God, we are thankful for all your many gifts and blessings. We ask you continue to look out over our county, our people, to bless those who are in most need. Help us be attentive to their needs and seek to find ways to meet those. Bless those who are in the path of rising waters during this time of rain. Bless those who are in need in any way. We are thankful for the many blessings that you have given our community, for our schools, for its excellent students and families. Continue to bless us. We ask you to be with this court today to give them the wisdom that they need to make decisions, to be centered on your love, and to be attentive to the needs of all in our community. Be with us always as we celebrate you. We ask all of this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. If you would, continue to stand. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Mr. Clerk, if you would, please call the roll.
All right. Magistrate Southern.
Here.
Magistrate McCollum. Here. Magistrate Barry.
Here.
Magistrate Putman.
Here.
Magistrate Moran is absent, and Judge Snyder is absent.
Gentlemen, you had the minutes of the January 22nd meeting in your folder. I assume you've had a chance to review them. If there's no additions or corrections, could I get a motion to accept those, please?
I
So-
move to accept.
Second.
Mr. Clerk, call a roll, please.
Magistrate Southern.
Aye.
Magistrate McCollum.
Aye.
Magistrate Barry. Magistrate Putman.
Abstain. Well, we're lucky today. We have our judge's scholar, Mr. Henry Hank Frankie, a very sharp-dressed young man. And as he'll find out, this is his day, and we're going to do a proclamation. So we'll call you Hank, right? So if you'll meet me down front, we're going to do a proclamation for you.
Henry Hank Frankie has been chosen by Jefferson Elementary School to be the recipient of the Judge's Scholar Award because he made a choice to accept changes that would benefit his education and well-being. And change is not easy. However, Hank's ability to embrace change has led to growth that will not only further his success in life, and whereas success is measured in many different ways, whether it be passing a test, scoring the winning point, achieving a particular goal, or taking the necessary steps for overall improvement, and whereas the Henderson County School System could not let Hank's efforts go unnoticed, and whereas the Henderson County Fiscal Court supports the school system and acknowledges these changes as being significant because students such as Hank Franke will be our future leaders. And now, therefore, I, Brad Schneider, County Judge Executive Henderson, join with the Henderson County Fiscal Court to proclaim February 12, 2019 as Henry Hank Franke Day in Henderson County in honor of his hard work and dedication and his improvement of his schoolwork, and ask the residents of Henderson County to join with me and Henderson County Fiscal Court wishing this young man a hearty congratulations for his great accomplishments.
Would y'all like to come up, Jill, Kevin, and family? Miss Sanford? You get some pictures, please? You know, Cindy Williams is normally here, but she's, I think, got some health issues going on, so I believe we got enough photographers in the group. Yeah, get all the good family in. Yes. Next on the agenda will be our Brent Jacobs about an update on our computers here at the county.
All right, the judge asked me to come in front of y'all today to give you an update on our computer systems, specifically the personal computers of almost every employee in the county. Most of our computers are running Microsoft Windows 7, and unfortunately, Microsoft has announced they are ending extended support for Windows 7 on January 14th, 2020. This means Microsoft will no longer provide security updates or support for our PCs running Windows 7. To sum it up, we need to replace or upgrade all of our Windows 7 PCs by January 14th, 2020, which is a little under a year. Currently, we have 89 computers running Windows 7 throughout the whole county. It's going to be expensive. So,
Any questions? I think it goes without saying, 7 is a little bit antiquated at this point.
yeah, right when it gets
There-
running perfect, they kill it.
No support for it at all.
Yeah,
It's all gone
in
away.
about a
basically.
year.
I think they
Yeah.
planned that way.
Well,
Yeah.
it keeps them bringing in money.
Yep.
Well, we need to upgrade all the computers or just the software?
Most of the computers are average 5 years old,
Yeah.
and I'll try to upgrade some, but a lot are just going to have to be replaced.
Okay. Usually, in the long run, it's just cheaper to go ahead and
Yeah.
do that. And
When
the
you
time,
When
time,
you have a hard drive that's been running constantly 5 years, it's about end of life.
will you get us some numbers on that, what we're looking at?
I'll work on it.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, this is just pretty much a heads up from what I understand.
yeah.
We don't need to take any action on it at this time.
Do we,
I'll be notifying the departments before budget time about what they need to budget, and I'll be working on numbers.
do you,
This is sort of what Tim and I talked about in our workshops, about seeing what we need, when do we need it, and every department, we're going to try to work on some of that so we can get some of these needs out there in the open and
Yeah.
not just get hit in the rear end with it,
Right.
so we know what's happening. So, but I think there's probably other things. I mean, for instance, the building across the street was built, I think, in 2002. I think it's got a 20-year life on the roof.
Yeah, Charlie was telling me he got called at 6 a.m. this morning. There's leaks everywhere.
On that building?
Yes.
Oh, I was not counting on it being quite this soon, but I knew we were going to have problems soon. So what I want to do is, and Tim and I talked about this, we wanted to get it where we start, you know, if it's 20 years old and supposed to run it, you start watching it a little closer, and then eventually we'll start, you know, we got the money sort of set aside to do it. And it's going to, with the budget we're going to have, I think it's going to make it sort of tough with the retirement thing that, if anybody saw the newspaper today with the, what's going on. Same thing's happened to us, the counties, as has happened with the cities, except they just let us phase ours in 12% a year for 10 years, and it's going to 83% of person's salary. That we're going to, and it's just the cities can't bear it, and we can't bear it any more than the cities can. So we just need to do some planning.
Thank you, Charlie. Brent, you got anything else on the update?
No.
Any more comments, any questions?
Brent, when we buy the computers, are we bound to buy them in a certain place, or can we shop for them?
We can shop for them.
Okay.
And yeah,
We'll have to take bids on them.
Right.
yeah, if we're buying that many.
And Brent, at one point you had us on a schedule where it wasn't all of them at once. It
Yeah.
was so many a year, and just kind of.
I used to replace quite a few a year, but every year my budget has sort of been told to be shrunk. So
And we want to change that, and we want to get back on a
Yeah.
program. I think that's what happened, 2 or 3 years ago when we had the financial crisis here, and we ran out of money.
Well, it's like anything else, Charlie. You know, you need to project out, have that 5-year plan is what you're going to need maintenance-wise. And we knew that roof over there was going to be in. It was going to happen at some point. Unfortunately, it's leaking today. So, and that's a pretty costly repair. So, well, thank you, Brent.
That's it.
Appreciate it. Bill Hubiak. We got the bid openings on the Sandy Lee Watkins row crop license.
The first bid here is from Walter Hazelwood, Hazelwood Farms. The bid sheet here is for approximately the 10 acres described as Field E on the exhibit of the package at the eastern Henderson County. It's Sandy Lee Watkins Park, Hebbersville. I would like to submit a bid of $70 per planted acre for the 4 years on this property.
Does that mean 70 a year or 70 at one time?
That should be per planted acre per year. Okay. That's why we will take these under advisement to make sure that everything is correct and accurate before we make any decisions. So, the next bid is also from Mr. Hazelwood.
Thank you, Bill.
And this is for the total acreage that we put out there for approximately the 200 acres. And this would be $136 per planted acre for the 4 years.
And I don't mean to be, what is a planted acre?
Well, in other words, we did the approximate on the area to be determined, okay, for planting. So whatever is actually planted, if it's 190 actual acres, they will pay on the actual acres planted.
My point is I don't want them to be, whatever's plantable, I want them to plant.
Right, that is correct. But the way we put the exhibit together, Magistrate McCollum, it was basically approximated by our GIS. Okay. The next one is from Overton Farms. And Overton Farms made a bid for the acreage of $223 per planted acre.
Is that the all acreage, Bill?
Yes, I'm assuming that is all acreage because that's all, this is for, the bid package was turned out for the 200 acres.
The total package?
But, yeah, total package, but you could pick if you wanted to segregate. They pay it at the end of the planning year. That's how it's been collected in the past.
At the end of the year?
At the end, at the end of, after planting, after harvest.
They pay the full sum at the end of the year?
Yeah. That's the way it's been collected in the past. The next bid is from Watkins Farms.
Wilson.
I apologize. This is from Wilson Farms, not Watkins. And this is to all fields to be accessible from the county park property and ATV side by the
Side by side, it looks like.
sides that will be used for the scouting and spotting, spraying purposes. They bid $160 per acre. And this last bid is from Cross Plain Farms.
Bill, who's farming that? Who's farming that now?
Do what?
Who's farming that now?
David Baird.
Just to give the court a little history on how we are where we are on this, several years ago, Judge McCormick had seen that there was unused acreage there and had sought to maximize the benefit to the county somehow and worked out something with Mr. Baird. There was a potential future use or ability to swap some property, and so Judge McCormick made this deal with Mr. Baird, and then that's when I got it to turn into a contract. So the deal was kind of already made, and so in addition to some of the terms already being handled, there was part of the agreement was that Mr. Baird, at the end of his 4-year contract period, would have a right of first refusal to match this next contract period. So there's some things were kind of hamstrung by that prior agreement a little bit. So I know as you look at where we are now on some of this, some of the magistrates are going to say, some of these terms should be changed, and I absolutely 100% agree with you. Moving forward, once we're past this particular period, that makes a whole lot of sense. That is something that is, whether you can bind a future court or not, is something that is also of a good amount of legal question.
Charlie, we haven't practiced that way, honestly. And
You're indeed correct. Indeed correct.
Back to the bid, the last one is from the Cross Plain Farms. and their bid is $150 per acre. I would like to take these under advisement and report back to the court at our next fiscal court meeting.
Bill, I don't know how you're going to judge these, and maybe you talk to everybody and find out, because all the information's not here that I would want in my contract. And maybe Steve's thinking the same thing. But, like, this bid, the last one we just had, they'll do the lime, they'll do the fertilizer, they'll keep it up to date, and they'll push all around.
Mr. Gold had prepared in the package what the responsibilities are for the bidders.
Well,
They are already given out in the bid package.
which is it is the prior contract, so the terms and conditions that were in there in that prior license agreement. It does have a lot of that type of stuff, not as detailed as liming and things like that, but it gets a lot more detailed than just a dollar amount. Also clarifies that it can't be used for any sort of subsidy program or anything like that. It's 3 or 4 pages worth of things.
Climate, I don't, that might be to our benefit to have it tested.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty costly.
Yes. Just to give the fiscal court members a little bit of the background, when this property was given to the county for the development of a park for use of the county residents by the company here, a land company here in Henderson, it was to be utilized exclusively for a county park. Along with that agreement at the time, they had a tenant farmer who was row cropping the area of the previously surface mined acreage. That, as that came about and was released, the land company kept the rights to farm at whatever we were not developing at that time. And then that went on for so long, and then that agreement went to the wayside, and then we were able to do something ourselves. The first persons that we brought in here and actually allowed to row crop under the county, I went to Mr. Smith at the Ag Extension Office, and it was, I think, $15 an acre. Of course, Mr. Smith said, I couldn't believe that they're even willing to pay you anything for reclaimed strip mine farming, because the soil in our county gets degraded so easily because of the high amounts of alluvial clay, and when you're surface mining it every time, the compaction and everything like that, it's not like it's prime farmland. And it takes years and years of tillage and fertilization and cropping to ever get it back even close to what its productivity levels were prior to that. So anyway, that's how this came about, and the monies would be funneled into the county for possible reuse for the development of the park, even though it was minimal cost. Now we're progressed out there. They have the farmers that have been out there have put a good amount of work into getting the productivity of the property up from what it originally was after the surface mining. They've been using chicken manure and other fertilizers and that because it behooves them to enhance the soil quality for better crop production for their income also. So these things have been stated in there. Mr. Gold also put in there about how they need to keep the area around the farming manicured, bush hogged down, things of this nature. Covered everything quite extensively in this contract, like none previously, but it's something workable. And the important thing is with this is it helps nurture back the soils for the park for whatever we do in the future out there. Brings a little income into the county. And it's a good thing, win-win situation for everybody, and it's less that we have to maintain while we're developing the park.
Bill, and it's also worth noting that this is it's not a traditional lease situation. Right. This is a license agreement. Right. Given that the nature of our ownership of the property is conditional upon having a park and continuing to develop it as a park.
That's
I know currently there aren't any grants or anything out there that we're going for further development of the park that are irons in the fire right now. But if for some reason some grant came through and somebody wanted to, fund using something on that particular acreage, the license agreement that we have is a revocable license agreement that we would be able to reclaim some of that at any time during this 4-year period.
Yeah.
So that would, it's kind of, like I say, not a traditional lease situation because it's a franchise and one that we can basically take back if there's a requirement either by the original owner of the property saying that there's a problem there with this, or if there is a need regarding further development of the park. So it's kind of an odd duck here we've got.
Well, I think the prices are really good. I appreciate all the farmers bidding on this because it's good for our community. I'd like to make a motion that we take it under advisement, but I'd ask that you let Tim work with you since he is a farmer and would know, I think, a lot more about this than most of us, and come back and tell us what you all think is the best bid.
No problem.
Is that good, Bill? Well, we got a motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Tim. Any more discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, Bill. Next on the agenda, we have an appointment to the Air Board. Mr. Glenn Stone, from what I understand, he's willing to serve more. I think the city has already made their appointment of it. So I guess we're doing more of a courtesy to appoint Mr. Glenn Stone to the Air Board.
This was Brad's recommendation.
And this
too.
is Brad's recommendation also.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Thank you. We have a resolution on the Henderson County Rural Secondary Agreement. That's the Cairo Hickory Grove Road Bridge. This agreement spells out the responsibilities in utilizing state funds to help us fix that bridge. We do have a resolution, and Mr. Clerk, Steve, you said we could just read, I guess read the whole thing because it's pretty short.
Yes, and the agreement, I've reviewed it, it is approved as to form and legality.
All right, thank you. Mr. Clerk.
Resolution adopting and approving the execution of a rural secondary program agreement between the Fiscal Court and the Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, Department of Rural and Municipal Aid, and accepting all roads and streets referred to therein as part of the county road system. Be it resolved by the Fiscal Court that the Fiscal Court does hereby certify that all roads and streets referred to in this agreement are county roads as defined in KRS 178.010 1B, and the Fiscal Court does hereby ratify and adopt all statements, representations, warranties, covenants, and agreements contained in said agreement, and does hereby accept said agreement, and by such acceptance agrees to all the terms and conditions therein stated. And the County Judge Executive of Henderson County is hereby authorized and directed to sign said agreement as set forth on behalf of the Fiscal Court of Henderson County, and the County Clerk of Henderson is hereby authorized and directed to certify thereto.
Gentlemen, you've heard the resolution. Any questions? Can I get a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Accept.
Got a motion and second. Any discussion? Mr. Clerk, when you're ready, call a roll.
Master Southern,
Aye.
Master McCollum,
Aye.
Master Berry,
Aye.
Master Putman.
Aye. Next on our agenda, we have the defeasable activity, and this is to give permission to get the process started. To start the process of defeasement, it's for the oldest county jail expansion bond. The money will come from Jailer Brady's reserves, as will any fees associated with setting up the account. The money will go into an untouchable escrow account to pay off the jail's oldest bond. And I spoke with the jailer this morning, and she's all good with this. So what we need is a motion to give our treasurer, Brenda Ryder, permission to begin the process of defeasance for the Oldest County bond, jail expansion bond. And she'll be doing this, working closely with advisors at Compass Group, Mr. Gold, and, of course, Jailer Brady.
Andy, you are in favor of this? So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Mr. Clerk, call the roll.
Magistrate Southern.
Aye.
Magistrate McCollum.
Aye.
Magistrate Berry.
Aye.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye. Next, we have our county attorney report. Mr. Gold.
All right, folks, I've got several checks today. Unfortunately, Hank, they're not as big as they are sometimes. Sometimes I get to hand somebody thousands of dollars to give to the judge, but today it's not that much. A check for $6.30 for interest, $18.90 for interest, $32.80, and $112.65 for interest, for a total today of $170.65. Fiscal year total to date, $91,266.03. Hank, could you hand that to Mr. Putman?
Thank you, Hank. And as always, thank you, Mr. Gold. Next, Brenda Ryder for claims. Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped the gun. I need a motion to accept the.
Motion to accept.
Got the
I mean,
motion.
if you don't want to
for-
accept it, we'll take it back.
No, we want it. We want it, Mr. Gold. We got a motion to accept Mr. Gold's
A second.
and a second. All those in favor, aye. Aye. Thank you. All right, Ms. Ryder.
I have 4 claims today from the general fund to Visa in the amount of $898.15. This is for judge and fiscal court training expense. From the road fund to Visa in the amount of $322.68. This is for county engineer training expense. From the jail fund to Barrett Fisher Company in the amount of $2,692.95. And this is to come from the cleaning supplies and paper line items of the jail. I also have one more for the jail. There's been some discussion. The Old National Wealth, the principal and interest on the general obligation bond for the jail, the general obligation bond 2017, which was for the kitchen project, is due March the 1st in the amount of $229,875. This is due March the 1st, but there has been some discussion about, this is still an ongoing bond with proceeds, about using those proceeds to pay this off. I'm in the process of, they are contacting the bond council to see what the option is. So this is budgeted. If it's not approved by, if the bond council hasn't come through with an answer, it is budgeted and we can go on and pay it out of this budget.
If you don't mind, let me make a motion to go ahead and approve the payment of that if it's not able to take it out of the bond, if
Yes.
that's okay. We'll just do that separate.
And Brenda, if we could get something in writing from bond
Yeah.
council saying they're okay with that,
That's-
because that makes me a little nervous.
Well, that's what I'm working on, and this is kind of preliminary. The judge and I had a quick question, and the jailer was gone, so I really hadn't got, I don't know exactly how much discussion they have had, so this is,
Just with those
If
folks,
I-
I want to make sure they put it in writing.
oh, yes.
Just so I got it clear, Magistrate McCollum, we want to pay the claims, but that's a separate.
No, I'm just doing this separate. I want to allow her the authority to pay it out of our funds. If it is not accepted by the bond council, they won't let us take it out of the, I'd rather pay it out of the bond fee, the
Right.
funds from the bond. If they can't, we want to go ahead and authorize her, because we won't have time in between then to
No.
do that. So I just want to take that as a separate thing away from the other claims, although I'm for paying them too, don't get me wrong. But I just thought this would be easier to clean this up and give her the right to go ahead and take care of it.
Okay, so we have a motion to pay the claims with the add-on, let's say, if we can pay that bond payment.
If they can pay it out of the proceeds of the bonds, that's what we want to do. If the bond council will let us do that. If not, then we're going to authorize her to go ahead and pay it out of our funds.
Okay.
As long as Steve reads with them allowing it. Because
Yes.
we don't want to, we don't have to do it twice.
And the bond world is so super technical, and that's why they have bond counsel, and that's why they charge tons of money when they do these things. We need to make them do their work on this and actually get us something in writing saying that that's an appropriate expenditure out of those bonds.
And this is kind of a timing thing, that
Yeah.
it's due March 1st, and I've already contacted the bond council, but as Mr. Gold referred, it does take a while for them to get back with me.
So we do have a motion to pay the claims. Is there a second?
Second.
Any more discussion?
Again, we're only going to pay the claims after we get the writing and Steve approves it, correct?
Go ahead and pay all the claims except for the one for the jail that may be able to be paid out of the bond funds. And then if they are able to pay out of the bond funds, that's where it'll come from. If it turns out that the bond council says that they can't pay it out of those bond funds, then we'll have to pay it out of our funds.
And it is budgeted. It is a regular routine payment that's budgeted in this fiscal year's bond, or budget,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right.
Everybody clear? Got a motion and a second. Mr. Clerk, call a roll.
Magistrate Southern.
Aye.
Magistrate McCollum.
Aye.
Magistrate Berry. Aye. Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Thank you.
Is that all you got, Brenda?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Wow, we're down to good of the county. Anybody in the audience have anything for the good of the county? Mr. Kenny Garrett. I bet you got a little bit to talk about this morning, don't you?
Not a whole lot. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
I just got a few things here. I thought I'd kind of catch you up on what's going on around. Right now, as you probably know, the rivers and the creeks are rising swiftly, and there are multiple evacuations, not rescues, but evacuations in process throughout the county. Specifically in the Spotsville area right now, we've got some areas up on Greenwood Road number 2 that are have already packed their bags, and they're planning to get out this week because they know at a certain level it's going to inundate their houses. So they're already making those preparations. If you notice outside, we've got some additional moderate rain right now. It's going to be around this morning for a little bit, and then we'll have a break, and then we'll be returning back again on Thursday and Friday. But all of that is going to affect everything that's already gone through here. All the heavy rains are gone. What's going up into Ohio and Pittsburgh area, that's all going to come back at us in the form of river rain, river flooding. Let's see, what else do we have? We're currently monitoring the river stages now. I've got the state highways out, county roads out. They're all checking roads to make sure everything's good, and they're going to let us know as flooding happens. We had a flood response meeting last night, had about 25 people there. We talked about our response plans to see how we're going to react and what we're going to do just to kind of get a head start on everything. So I think we've got a good plan together, and hopefully we don't have to put it in play. But we're going to be right on that marker there that says, well, we do it or we don't do it, and we won't know that here for hopefully we'll know by 1 o'clock today when the next forecast comes out.
Well, it's not like we don't have any experience at this.
No.
It seems to be an annual event.
It's turning into that as
Yeah,
we speak. So.
Unfortunately.
Anyway, questions?
Yeah, I just want to thank you for your emails to send us and keeping us advised.
My pleasure.
And I know this is silly, but if you wouldn't mind going to WSON and remind people not to drive through that water, because the sheriff ends up having to pull somebody out every single time. They just, and it's dangerous, and we put our people in danger whenever they have to do that. So.
Well, I've heard that, and I'll do that. I also know from talking with State Highway and the road department that they'll put the barriers up. The next day they're back down or stolen or whatever. So it's just a constant fight. Anything else?
Yeah, maybe in the future somehow we can have those barriers where they're more of a permanent thing that you can open and close.
I think Bill and I have been talking about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything for the good of the county? Well, I'm gonna I'm gonna start down here with the Magistrate Southern. Anything for the good of the county?
We're good. We're getting plenty of the floodwaters they're talking about, but it's I think he's like he said, we're right on that border whether it's getting severe or not. So, I hope everybody listened to what Charlie said and don't drive in the water. It will take you into the ditch. And I'd like to say to Hank, thank you for being an outstanding student. I'm sure your parents are proud, and I understand you're going to eat, and don't have any mercy on Butch. Get all you want.
Plenty of dessert. Plenty of dessert.
That's all.
Thank you, Magistrate McCullum.
I think I've said everything we need to, and thank you again. We're really proud of you.
Magistrate Berry.
I want to thank Kenny. I was at the meeting last night, and we got a good guy taking care of the situation we may be in. He does a good job, and he's going to continue. So thanks, Kenny, for that meeting. It was good. And thank you, Hank. Thanks for the hard work. I know you've worked hard. Hard work pays off, and I know you've been doing that, so congratulations.
Mr. Gold.
Hank, it's always a special day for me when the Leader of the Month or the Judge of Scholar from Jefferson shows up, because I'm an old Jaguar myself. But it's really a special day that you're here, because I've had an opportunity to see you grow up. And since you're a little bitty baby, and you, I'm telling you, man, every time I see you, you keep getting more mature, and you're doing great things. And I'm very, very glad that you received this honor, because I can't imagine anybody that deserves it anymore. I'm so proud of you, and I hope you keep going and go back to school and let them know today has been proclaimed Hank Frankie Day. That's a big deal. Don't let your sisters forget that either. And again, make Magistrate Putman buy you double dessert or something like that, okay? Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you. Well, Hank, what can I say? I mean, you're sharp dressed. I mean, you've raised the bar for your sister now, because this Judge's Scholar, this has went into effect like in, I think it was 2011. And I'm just guessing, but I'd say we probably had 50. So you're one of probably approximately 50 that's won this honor, which is Miss Sandifer knows, it's just doesn't. There's a lot of criteria you got to meet to get this award for Judge's Scholar. So it looks like to me you're on the right road. You come from great parents with Kevin and Jill, so I know you got everything going the right direction. Just keep it up. Just keep it up. And like I say, we're all proud of you. I know the school's proud of you. Your parents are proud of you. So, and I'm looking forward to going, and we can talk about fishing at lunch or something. I'm just kidding. I don't fish. So if there's nothing else to come before the court today, I'd like a motion to adjourn. Got a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.